Hey everyone. I hope you all are doing great while watching this. While either you're having coffee or on your commute or actually sitting and listening and watching me today. Thank you so much for taking the time. This is our very first episode, and I am thrilled to be joining forces with Offsite Dirt and bring forth some of the diverse voices of the leaders in the construction industry. My goal here, by the way, as you can see the show name in my background, it's Leanify Construction. I am a Lean Six Sigma leader, and I strongly believe in the power of Lean in unblocking productivity for this industry. Through this show, I want to bring forth some of the amazing leaders and share some of their invaluable expertise directly with you, some of their super insightful journeys that they have been through and what led them come to construction and why and what has kept them motivated to be here. We'll explore their challenges and also uncover the most effective strategies they have employed. At the end of the show, I promise that you will get some takeaways, actions that you can go back and implement in your day-to-day life and see some of the wins happen for yourself. I think if I am able to add that, if together with my speaker, I'm able to add that value, it will be super helpful. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Today with me, my very first show, I want to welcome Erin Khan, who's an established AEC technology leader with over a decade of combined experience in building operations, data analytics, and software implementation. Thank you so much, Erin, for agreeing to be my first guest and doing this with me and taking a chance for me being the host. I've been on the other side a lot, but this is my first time being on this side of the table, and
Yep.
I am pretty excited about it. I will let you introduce yourself, but I do want to say that I've worked with Erin, blown away with her experience, with what she has achieved so far, and just the fact that she was the National Director of Construction Solutions at Suffolk Construction and have led multiple milestone projects in her career has just motivated me to enough to actually bring her on my show and have her share her journey with our guests today, with our listeners today, and hopefully we all learn together with her. So, Erin, I'll over to you. Please let us know a little about yourself and your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sneha. Wow, what an opening. So I really appreciate the kind words, and right back at you. So thank you. I'm very excited to be here on the show today. It's a great opportunity to connect with you and hopefully more of the construction industry and the community that's here in the space. So a little bit about my background, my origin story. Born and raised in New York, but I came out to the West Coast to study civil engineering at the University of Southern California. So I'm a bit of a transplant here. While I was at USC, so excellent school, fight on Trojans, got to see a lot of the latest and greatest practices that were going on in the industry. And I also had the opportunity to do my first internship renovating one of the buildings on campus, which was just amazing and also not too bad for an LA commute. Renovating a building that's on your actual university campus.
Awesome.
So through that first experience at USC, being an intern on one of the projects that was going on and learning about all of these amazing things in school, it was kind of, I would say, jarring a little bit to see how slow things on site were progressing in terms of technology and process improvement. So a lot of manual-based processes, a lot of maybe not quite implementing technology to the fullest. So there are a lot of opportunities or gaps that I saw. As a super young millennial, having grown up with tech, coming into what's typically a more tenured industry. So I was really passionate from day one about using computers and software and all these other tools that were not traditional in construction at the time, to accelerate and make everything on site a bit more efficient, effective, and safer. So fast forward quite a few years and a few different experiences. I knew I wanted to fully commit to construction technology and process improvement. So for the past 4 years or so, I was a regional director and then the national director, as you mentioned, at Suffolk Construction, where I had a fantastic experience just being basically on the cutting edge and of leadership in construction technology and innovation. So I learned a lot. Again, I had a fantastic perspective, I think, from working with the teams at Suffolk. But then come the start of this year, 2023, I still wanted to do more and I still want to have a bigger reach than what I'm able to do at just one organization. So January 2023, I've started my own consulting firm, Erin Khan Consulting, or EKC for short, to help support both construction technology startups who are looking to provide better solutions to builders, and also supporting general contractors who need a bit of guidance on which solutions to kind of bring into their organization to make their operational excellence a bit better.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your story. I mean, look at you. You have done so much in so little time and the leader that you have become. Well, firstly, congratulations on this new journey.
Thank
And
you.
I am myself, like I can myself vouch for all the knowledge that you have and that you have been sharing with the startups. And I can only see growth from here on for you. So definitely that's a super exciting journey to be on. And actually kudos to you for doing this especially in, in construction where we have kind of a little softer fatigue. So thank you for keeping
Yep.
the lights on in terms of motivation here and making sure that the technology is leading the light for many of our folks here. So while, like, you have been doing this, and I want to get into a little bit to our next question, which is pretty much I want to focus on what's that one unique accomplishment or a project, I would say, that you would like to share with our audience today that would highlight your I would say, which was a good mix of everything that you're passionate about, but also the challenges that you were facing, and something that today, if you look back, you could have done things differently that you would definitely share with our listeners that they could take away and see if they can use it in their day.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say it's necessarily just one standout accomplishment, but kind of like repeated experiences. I will pick on though that first project experience that I had, just being so new and green and fresh into the industry, being like, oh my gosh, I don't even know most of the lingo. How can I provide value to my team? And again, going back to the first Heritage Hall project that I was on, first as an intern, then as a full-time project engineer. On that job, that was my first exposure to lean construction and lean concepts. And it was also a learning experience, first time learning experience on lean for a lot of the trades that we had as well. So together as a team, we kind of strengthened our lean muscles, if you will, and really saw the benefits and the outcomes, again, as a collaborative effort out on the site. So learning that kind of mindset, and it really is a mindset shift, right? To be involved in lean practices and see the value of it. So having that mindset shift very, very early on, I think maybe not necessarily an accomplishment, but definitely like a standout moment that shifted the perspective of my career and how I see the industry in general. So it really influenced me to look at, how can we together as a team, no matter where we're at in our day-to-day job, collaborate and communicate to make something that's bigger than everybody individually. So a lot of times there's a barrier to doing so because there's no shared platform. It's hard to get information back and forth. And that's really where the technology piece comes into play. And that's, at least in my experience, where I've been able to provide that value of saying, hey, I've noticed this gap or breakdown in what could be a lean workflow if we plug in technology and digital transformation in these areas, we can now accelerate, contract review from a manual process to a very efficient digital one, right? And we take those examples and it kind of snowballs on and on and on to help transform, not just one small process on a job site, but eventually the whole organization. So that's kind of where I would say is, I guess, a big moment where mindset shifted to kind of contribute to being able to provide a bit more.
Got it. I'm so glad you used the word lean construction because that's exactly what I'm trying to be like building my expertise on and also sharing most of my POVs about. So thank you for sharing that. I'm like now more curious about there's so many things that came to mind while you were speaking about this project. The first one was like while you were also like having your aha moments in this journey, I always find that getting everyone on board and especially the doers on site has been definitely a challenge that most of the companies struggle with. Like it's, as you said, it's a mindset shift, it's a culture shift. So what recommendations you have, or probably how in this project actually went ahead to or took some key milestone steps to break those barriers, to break that mindset shift?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a couple things. I mean, I always say, convincing a big culture shift and a mindset shift, it's an art form, if you will, but some things that definitely help. It's one, approaching it as a team effort, like you're all in this together, and it's okay to be vulnerable and say, hey, I don't exactly know how this is going to go, but we're going to learn together and follow this process. And we also have guided experts that can help us walk through this process together, and we're going to come out through it as a team. So letting people know they're not alone, because I think what drives a lot of hesitancy is fear. But if like, okay, I'm not alone in this, I'm learning together, it kind of levels that playing field. I think also too, having combined approaches of pulling together the boots on the ground individuals and getting them to buy into the idea and concept of what you're trying to do, as well as having the top-down leadership at the same time, and having that messaging consistent is super important. So if you leave out your boots on the ground, you're going to get a lot of naysayers that will maybe mumble and grumble and basically just check the box and move on. If you leave out, leadership, then you might have some interest and passion from team members that are trying to change their day-to-day, but can't really get the level of change and impact that they're looking for. So you really need those two things to come together. And then I think last thing as well, not everybody is going to get on board. There's always going to be a couple stragglers, if you will, and that's okay. So, I mean, spend your time on those change makers, and it's worth the time and investment to identify essentially your innovation champions in the field who are going to pick up this new initiative. Let's say it's lean, and champion it and kind of spread positive vibes, if you will, to the rest of the team members, and basically say, look, hey, there's this awesome thing. Let's get excited about it. Let's do this together. So you kind of have that grassroots support.
I have picked on the word that you just shared here, which is innovation champions. Oh my God, I am so glad you mentioned it, because that's so true. Like we have to, whenever we are implementing a change as big as this, as you said, the top down, like, making sure the leadership and the people that doers in the process, the messaging is the same. Everyone understands why it's important and what's in it for them. And the innovation champions, or the change agents in your organization, find them, use them, because while you're not we are also, this also helps in upskilling your workforce, so keeping them engaged as you keep your journey on lean and digital transformation, I think is very important, especially in construction where, it's a very traditional industry and we have seen not a lot of interest. So we really need to attract talent and keep them going in the industry. So thank you for sharing that. One question I did want to dig into was what was that tool that, that digital tool that you implemented? And I would wanted to understand, like, how did you measure, like, going, like, once you did it, implemented it, how did you, or how long did you measure that you really gained the ROI on it?
Yeah, so there's a couple. One was like a punch listing platform. I want to say it was BIM 360 Field at the time. Another was using Bluebeam Review for digital document routing and collaboration. So like constructability review, for example. And there's a few more examples in there, but with evaluating essentially the impact of what that transformation is doing, basically just start small with one case study, one example of a pilot project. And what I like to do is basically look at the previous state and pick out like 3 to 5 metrics that are very specific. So what were the time savings? Was there less time spent in meetings? What was the actual duration of getting the process done from A to B versus with the technology? There's also a bit of like a qualitative piece to it as well. So did team members actually like the process? Because you can have amazing solutions and nobody likes it and then it doesn't get used. So that qualitative piece is also important to measure. So getting that sentiment feedback. And then understanding basically how to combine that into a generalized score. You can start to now rank and see how different solutions trend within your organization and use that trend data to scale up the ones that are really sticky and really working for the people who are using that new process or new technology. So there's definitely a bit more on the data side I could dive into, but I won't, for the purposes of time in this conversation, dig too deep into it here because I know we have more to get to.
I think you already shared some very important nuggets in terms of how you can just start with a pilot, have that, have a champion lead it as, a new program initiative. And then also, like, as you touched on, when I'm at a job site, I'm running around trying to look at quality issues, take care of my associates working on site. It's so hard to stop. Like, if the tool experience isn't seamless and good enough, it's hard to stop back, look at my iPad or phone and, get things done. Like, that's also something that is super important when choosing that right technology that will make sense of the business. So I think you already shared some of the nuggets. Of course, when you do your pilot, know your before and after metrics. That immediately tells you why it was important. Did you gain any wins? And then share it with the broader team, right?
Right. And also, like, don't be super afraid of like a quick fail. It's good feedback either way. So, and it helps you pivot and understand, like, okay, maybe a certain type of deliverable or whatever it might be a bit more valuable to your team than what you initially thought. So, yeah.
Love it. So just shifting gears for a little bit, just still related to the project, just curious, like, while you were, leading all these amazing digital transformation and innovation projects, was there anything that stands out, like how it helped making the whole process greener? It could be as simple as reducing the use of paper. It could be very complex, actually seeing the carbon footprint improvement, but just curious for our audience, like, how was that also a metric looking at?
Absolutely. So first with the example of like paper reduction, digital contract review basically reduces the need for paper contracts 100%. So that's an immediate savings on printing, shredding, you name it, anything that has to do with paper. And then if you take that a step further, not just to like contracts, but your project documents, getting your team used to learning how to interact with plans and specs digitally instead of on like massive sheets of paper. That also helps a lot with printing costs and reducing the need for those large format plans.
Mm.
And then another initiative or example of specifically impacting sustainability on the job site, and this is a really big one because I don't think the industry collectively has really managed to do this well yet. We're still on a very big sustainability journey in my mind. But there's one example of one of the project teams, and this is while I was at Suffolk Construction. So all of the kudos and shout out definitely all goes to this team. I didn't have too much to do with it, but we had been building community and discussions internally about what are we doing on our job sites to promote sustainable initiatives. And what this team came up with was amazing. And it was so simple. It was kind of like, why isn't this happening throughout the entire industry? And it was basically just putting like a metals recycling sign on a dedicated metals recycling bin,
Mm.
which is pretty simple. Like metals go here on a bin. So with doing that very, somewhat simple activity and basically telling the trades, okay, put your metals here in this bin, the team is able to do a lot of metals recycling. I don't quite remember the scale of it, but it was pretty significant where, one, the environment just had a plus with having these materials recycled and, it's, reduce, reuse, recycle. And two, it's also, a plus for the project financially because you get a financial incentive from recycling those metals. So it's really a win-win all around. So that's one example of where like the culture and the mindset really makes the action happen and the impact results. Yeah.
Super interesting that you share that. And, for our audiences who are already far along in their sustainability journey might think that, oh, something as simple, like really
Yeah.
that could make an impact. But yes, truly, like not everyone is at the same milestone and in their sustainability journey. So these small
Yeah.
things matter. Something as simple as that can be ignored and we can see like small wins if we do something like this. And that's,
Yeah.
the whole concept of offsite building construction, offsite construction. Like I'm super fascinated by this whole concept and how sustainable they are and how, it impacts speed, cost, quality, metrics. So definitely, I am watching that space and I'm looking for growth in that industry. Um, all right. I think we're almost coming to an end. I would definitely like to get your final insights on any latest trends that you're seeing in this industry that you want our viewers to be watching out for.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a bit. I think there's obviously a lot of buzz with like Chat GPT and GPT functions. So I would keep an eye out for AI, generative AI, those types of tools that are coming onto the market. And then also data. Data is a huge one, which I think some of us are doing a pretty good job of pulling in better data systems into our organizations to essentially have more insightful decision making. But having our systems talk to each other, again, it's applying that lean concept to our data. So we don't want to silo our data. We want it to be streamlined and have the right connections and not have to be duplicated anywhere. So having that lean interoperability to data, I think will be a strategic investment for anybody in the construction industry moving forward. And then there's also, when we think specifically about some of like the prefab modular approaches, it's not just design for manufacturing and assembly, it's also data, right? So if we're able to standardize our data, then we can start to get basically scaled processes and technologies that can do more than what they're doing in just the silos that they're in. So those are a few trends. And then I would also recommend, trends aside for anybody that's out there that's trying to learn or make an impact on their project site or in their organization, just be open to all of the amazing tools, technologies, individuals like, yourself, Sneha, and all of the members of the community that are out there. So Usually there's a lot of great solutions that might be a good opportunity to beta or do a free trial. And it's just a matter of being open or asking, hey, can I participate in this? I would also say, not just a trend, but something to continuously do is just learn from the industry. So one of the things that I'm involved in, I'm a co-champion for the local Los Angeles Bluebeam user group. Um, Here in LA, there's a couple chapters that are, I think, around the globe. Yep. So a lot of really great tech solutions have, user groups, user meetups. So I would encourage anybody who's interested in like staying on top of industry trends and getting insights and doing more to connect with your local communities. Because usually that's where you get to meet other people and then basically have a larger impact than you would on your own.
Love it. Love everything that you shared here. Yes, absolutely. We have to be open to technology. We have to be making the most of what we got. Yes, I understand there's, as I mentioned in the start of the show, that there is some software fatigue, but please don't let that deter you. There's so many awesome solutions out there that we want to be part of as we are, embarking on this journey, because it's not just about, being more productive and of course, like all these great benefits that come with it, but also keeping your people engaged. So, reskilling, upskilling, like when these workforce, the younger generations, I say that because I already feel old right now, but as we go on attracting this generation to our industry, how do we keep them motivated that they themselves feel that, okay, I'm constantly learning while I am being in construction? I think it's a big uh point of attraction to keep our keep the interest in this industry going. So I think
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it's a valuable takeaway that I hope our listeners like really tap into and be open to looking at. And it doesn't really have to be $100,000 solutions. Trust me, there are solutions.
Right.
As you mentioned, beta users out there, be part of those focus groups, be open to that. I'm pretty sure there are many out there looking for companies like you. That pretty much will end the first show that I'm hosting. So thank you so much again for your time, for sharing your insights
Thank
with
you.
our audience today. Again, good luck with Erin Khan Consulting, and anyone listening out there. Trust me, this women leader is gonna take this industry by storm and
Oh boy.
and
Thank you.
gonna
Thanks for
bring some
the shout
amazing
out.
insights and probably help lead those innovation projects for you. So if you are looking for something in that area, please don't hesitate to contact Erin. And this is me, Sneha Kumari, signing off the show for with you all. So have a great upcoming weekend, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks.